Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look at some examples of how to factor out the greatest common factor of polynomials. So we've got this polynomial, 30a squared plus 12a. The first thing you want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is figure out what is your greatest common factor, okay? Now, you don't have to sit there and write everything out and expand out like we did in the warm-up problem, but let's just do this. Take a look at 12 and take a look at 30 and ask yourself, what is the largest value that goes into 12 and 30? And probably what you're going to say is, after some careful consideration, remember it's not a speed race, but 6 goes into both, it's the largest number that goes into both 12 and 30. So we're going to look at 6, okay? Now look at a squared and a. Remember, this a squared has two factors of a times a. This only has one. So how many factors are common of a are common to both terms? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's only one. Why? This one right here has one factor of a. This also has a factor of a, but it has another factor of a that this doesn't have. So therefore, we always tend to use the smallest exponents. I know that's hard to understand because you're talking about the greatest common factor, but we're talking about the greatest common amount of a's that both of them have. They both have one factor of a. Okay? So that's going to be part of our greatest common factor. And that right there is our greatest common factor. Now, you're not done, ladies and gentlemen, because now what we need to do is we need to take and divide both of these terms by our greatest common factor. Okay? 6a and 6a. All right? Now, what you get then when you do that is, it's just basically division, ladies and gentlemen. You get 6a squared divided by 6a. What's 30 divided by 6? It's 5. Take a squared divided by a. Remember when we do that, that's negative the first. You subtract exponents, and that's just a. Over here, we're going to divide 12 by 6. We get a 2. And by the way, let's call that a positive 12 divided by 6. That's a positive 2. And then the a's just cancel out because there's the same number at the top and the bottom. Now, that is the second step. We just came out with what do we get when we take our original polynomial divided by our greatest common factor, but you're not done because now you have to put the two together. Your answer is, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll just write it over here, you combine these two together and you write your greatest common factor, 6a, times, in parentheses, what we just came up with here, 5a. Uh-oh, I made a mistake. Whoops. I'm going to back up here for a sec. A divided by a, the a's cancel out, so there should be an a in your answer there. So hopefully you caught that. So if we take, ladies and gentlemen, 6a, that's our greatest common factor, times 5a plus 2. Another thing is, if there would have been an a after that 2, we would have ended up combining those together, and we shouldn't be able to. So right here is your answer. Okay? That is what we get when we factored our original polynomial. Okay? We broke it up into two factors, 6a and then 5a plus 2. Notice how they're multiplied. Now you can real easily check your answer here by distributing. You should get your original polynomial here. If I take 6a times 5a, I get 30a squared. If I take 6a times 2, I do get 12a. I end up with my original polynomial. But again, this is your answer. Okay? All right, let's take a look at a couple more then, and then I think we're going to call it good. So this time we have 2c to the 6th minus 6c to the 4th plus c squared. If you want to pause the video and see if you can do it, fine. If not, we'll just do it together. So, ladies and gentlemen, our greatest common factor, if we take a look, this is a 1. So what's the largest number that goes into 2, negative 6, and 1? Would be just 1. Okay? And then we have a c squared, we have a c to the 4th and c to the 6th. So what's the largest number of factors that each of those have altogether that they all have in common is, they all have in common 2 factors of c. So this is our greatest common factor. And you don't have to put the 1 in there in front of there if you don't want to. You can just call it c squared. So there is no actual constant here. So what do we do next? We're going to take and again divide each of these terms by our greatest common factor, c squared. And what do we get when we do that? Well, 2c to the 6th divided by c squared is 2c to the 4th. A negative 6c to the 4th divided by a negative 6c to the 4th divided by c squared. That would give us a negative 6c squared. And then c squared divided by c squared. Now, they just don't disappear. They do cancel out. This cancels out with this, but what gets left in its place is a 1. Again, remember, if we started with 3 terms to begin with, this polynomial down here has to also have 3 terms. Okay? So then you just put them together, put your greatest common factor together with your polynomial you just came up with, and it's c squared, and then in parentheses, 2c to the 4th minus 6c squared plus 1. And again, you can easily go through, there's your answer right there. You can easily go through and just do your distributive property check to make sure that you end up with your original polynomial. All right, two more, and then we're good. And again, if you understand after this, you can just go on and do the practice exercises if you like. Okay? Let's try this one, greatest common factor. What goes into 40, 25, and 80? That is 5. 5 is the largest number that goes into all 3 of those, and then they each have a t. A single power of t right here. Now again, this has a t squared and a t cubed, but this one only has a single factor of t, so that's the largest number of factors of t that they all have in common. So let's just keep going through this. Divide that by 5t. And what do you get? You get 8t squared plus 5t. And 80 divided by 5 is 16, and the t's just cancel out. Okay? So, combine them together to give us our answer. 5t times, in parentheses, 8t squared plus, sorry, it doesn't look much like plus 5t plus 16. Now again, a good quick check, you can use your distributive property and take 5t times that trinomial and see if you get your original polynomial. If you do, you're done. Another good way to check is, again, this polynomial right here should have the same number of terms as our original one. It was a 3-term polynomial. This should have 3 terms, so this should have 3 terms, and it does. Okay, one more, and then I think we're gonna call it good. All right, greatest common factor. Again, you can stop the video and try this on your own and see if you can figure it out or not. But what's the largest number goes into 8, 12, and negative 6 is 6. Again, if there was a negative in all 3 of those terms, we put the negative with our greatest common factor. And then all of them have an x. Well, hold on a sec. The last term doesn't have an x. So the x is not common to all of these terms. So it cannot be a part of our greatest common factor. Now there is a y in every term, and the largest power of y that is common to all of them is 1. This is 1, this is 1, that's a 2, but the first and the third terms don't have 2 factors of y. Each of them only has 1, so that's our greatest common factor. So let's divide 6y, and let's see what we get. First term, we get 18 divided by 6 is 3. There's nothing to divide out the x squared. And then the y's do cancel out there. Okay? Plus, 12 divided by 6 is 2. Nothing to cancel out with the x. And this one factor of y on the bottom cancels with 1 on the top, or subtract your exponent, you end up with a y. And then you'll notice this y cancels this y, this 6 cancels this 6. There's only minus, and so we put a minus 1 as a placeholder. Remember, if we've got however many terms we start with, 3 here, we've got to have 3 terms after we divide out the greatest common factor. So, combine, you've got 6y times 3x squared plus 2xy minus 1. There's your answer. If you don't believe me, well, that's fine. It's always good to question. If you think something's wrong, distribute, and you'll see you get your original polynomial. Okay? Hopefully that helps you out, ladies and gentlemen. The assignment you have for this week, there's a worksheet online and the answer key for factoring a greatest common factor. And what I'll end up doing is on Friday. We were not supposed to have school on Friday, so, but I'll put up an answer key later in the week, so you can, after I put up the workshop, or excuse me, the quiz will be Thursday, and I'll put up an answer key with that right away so you can check it, so you don't have to do anything on Friday, okay? Have a great day, have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.